Welcome back, PC World fans. Glad to have you here as always. And today I'm going to be expanding on something that hit me while working on the FSR 2.0 video. If you haven't seen that one, make sure you back up and see why that update was such a big deal. While testing FSR 2.0 on the Steam Deck was interesting, it reminded me that FSR is part of the Steam Deck. Something I think many people overlook. So today, taking a look at it. I get it, FSR is game dependent, right? Surely you're talking about Radeon Super Resolution. To that I say, nope. In fact, I do mean FidelityFX Super Resolution because RSR is basically just scaling the post-rendered scene and trying to clean things up, whereas FSR is doing it while the game is being rendered. Steam Deck is quite the capable gaming machine despite its modest specs, thanks to its driving only a 1280 by 800 resolution screen. Sometimes you run into pretty tough to run games, like the one I've been playing the most recently on my Steam Deck, which is Days Gone. It's a gorgeous game, but if I run it at high settings, which I feel is a must because medium is just so blah, I'm struggling to get past 35 FPS. Some games that perform similarly, like Horizon Zero Dawn, have FSR game integration built in, which makes for a wonderful performance boosting experience. But what about when a game doesn't support it? Well, that's where the wonderful FSR integration in the Steam Deck comes into play. So, how does it work? Well, it's a little different when compared to your normal integration of FSR, with that the sharpening and upscaling pass is done in the middle of the rendering pipeline, leaving the extra HUD elements untouched. Steam Deck's integrated FSR applies the tech to the entire scene because it's global and not integrated into the game. But do take note, if a game has FSR integrated, use that instead. Because of the way Valve and Steam Deck handle Windows game emulation through Proton and the game scope, basically the FSR is done as the game is being rendered, so it's applying everything to the lower render resolution. Okay, so it's done in the operating system level as the game is being rendered and not in the middle of the pipeline. So how good could it be? I mean, that was my question as well. Why would I want to add sharpening and upscaling to a lower total resolution image rather than using an in-game render slider? Well, thankfully, I was able to satisfy my curiosity due to Days Gone having that as well, so I could legitimately compare them. First and foremost, I need to point out the image quality and performance at native. Well, it's Days Gone at 1280 by 800 and high settings. Looks good in all seriousness. But performance is lacking, as I've mentioned before. In this scene, we're sitting pretty solid just above 35 FPS, which is fine if you're wanting to lock it for that smooth 30, but we'd rather get a bit smoother. We've got options at this point. I could lower settings, but like I said, in this game and many others like it, it really hurts the look and the feel of the game. The in-game slider then? Well, sure, but now it's blurry as all get out, and I have to drop it to like 40% to even get close to the performance that I want. And that's a no-go if you ask me, as it's simply unplayable. Now what about FSR? To enable it, I need to hit the little 3-dot button to the right side of the Steam Deck's face to bring up the menu. Then I go to the Performance tab under the scaling filter. I need to set that to FSR. But we're not done yet. Next, you'll need to make sure that your game is in full screen mode. Then you'll need to reduce the actual rendered resolution from native. Native here is 1280 by 800, and to reduce it, I went with a lower resolution of 960 by 540. I know. 540p is almost laughable, but hear me out. Or rather, check this out. At 540p and a comfortable gaming distance, so resting in your hand, that is, it's almost indiscernible from native. It's quite the feat in my opinion. Between the sharpening and the screen size, the image quality is pulled so close to native that it's mind-boggling. Even the text in the subtitles and the heads-up display is restored. Honestly, these will be the two biggest clues that it's not a true native resolution. But what about performance? Come on. You didn't think that this was going to be a miracle with more than double the FPS to get us over that 60 FPS barrier? Well, it doesn't, But what it does do is push us past that 40 FPS mark, and that smooths out the gameplay significantly, making aiming and other actions in games like this much easier. In fact, if you couple FSR along with the new adjustable refresh rate of 40 Hz and lock the frame rate to 40 FPS, you're going to get a significantly better experience than if you had just let it roll with the default settings and didn't take into advantage the Steam Deck's FSR integration. So, is this built-in feature a magic bullet? Not quite, but it is a very useful feature that I'm quite glad is part of the device. While it didn't make Days Gone run at the magic 60 FPS mark, it did get me well out of the 30 FPS lifestyle on that title, making for a much more enjoyable experience. And other games, like Sleeping Dogs for instance, yeah, it's going to lock that one to a buttery smooth 60 FPS. So if you've got a Steam Deck, I'd highly urge you to give it a go if you're finding the game you're playing not quite hitting the performance target you'd like. I know for me, I'll be using it without hesitation. But what about you? Did you know that FSR integration was a thing? If so, do you use it or not? I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments section, and while you're down there, hit that thumbs up button and make sure you're subscribed here at PCWorld for even more PC hardware and software goodness.